How's it going, everybody? Star Wars Talk here. And recently I finished the last episode in the final season of The Bad Batch, Season 3, created and directed by Dave Filoni. And I absolutely loved it. So I wanted to share with you guys my thoughts and opinions on the final season, and more specifically, the final episode. It was perfect, in my opinion. George himself has said that we shouldn't always have to have the main characters die for, the last final episode to be meaningful. And in my opinion, the last episode was extremely meaningful without any of the characters perishing and dying. Obviously, we got some of that throughout the season, really sad parts and stuff like that, but the last episode I kind of figured was going to end out in a brawl where all the Bad Batch end up dying. Let's just put it bluntly. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that that was not the case. It was really, really cool to see Hunter and Omega's kind of conversation at the very end of the last episode. And Hunter looks dope as an older guy, like he looks sweet. And to see Omega really gonna go fight her own battle, and she even says that it was just really heartwarming, and just to see her kind of with Hunter as he's aged and she's aged, it kind of tugs on the heartstrings a bit. It really does, because we're seeing Hunter and the rest of the Bad Batch kind of, going through. They're not super old, and they're pretty young, and they're fighting this fight, and then they have to go to this planet to kind of just get away from everything and stay low for the rest of their lives. And it was a pretty emotional ending, in my opinion. Like, this scene here, like the build-ups to the very last episode were just really heavy hitters, in my opinion. And I think that's what Dave Filoni does. He kind of builds up seasons, and yes, there's some filler here and there. I feel like this season wasn't too much filler or anything like that. I thought it was pretty consistent and relevant for the most part. Everything was pretty relevant. We saw some really cool characters with Asajj Ventress coming back to Star Wars, which was really, really cool. I feel like Dave took us through a whirlwind of emotions, and kind of also through a whirlwind of ideas that could happen. When we find out that, obviously we kind of knew about the M count with Omega and the potential there with her maybe being a Jedi at some point, and the fact that Asajj Ventress is like, no, you're not gonna be trained. Was kind of tough to see, because I kind of thought Omega would be a Jedi. I was kind of hoping she wouldn't be, to be completely honest with you. I feel like we've seen a lot of like stories of younger characters just coming up and force powers and a high M count, and hey, you're a Jedi now. So it was cool to see Asajj say, I'm not gonna train you. And obviously Asajj isn't a Jedi either, so it would just basically be Omega being trained in the Force, and I'm sure from there she would have picked to be a Jedi. But that's just my opinion on that. That was a main thing where I really thought Dave took us for a loop. I just thought that was going to be the outcome, was maybe Omega becomes a Jedi, the Bad Batch die, she hides away. I mean, let's be honest, that's what we've seen a lot with the Disney era Star Wars, is kind of the hiding away, and even in Georgia Star Wars. So I'm glad that they didn't take that route. I'm glad that Omega is now fighting her own fight, as she said, and she's still somewhere out in the galaxy, and at this point at least, obviously. And the Bad Batch are, they're hidden, they're hiding, and I mean, they're still out there too, and I don't know if we'll ever see anything about them again, which is kind of tough to say. But I thought it was really cool when Nala Se kind of, sadly, but took one for the team, and they don't have any of her information anymore right there. She blew it all up. It was a really sad way for her to go out, but that was a really important thing we needed to see too, because we never really understood what happened in those scenarios. We never really understood what happened to, the Kaminoans, so that was really, really cool to see. But overall, yeah, I loved the final season of The Bad Batch. The characters grew on me a ton. I mean, to go from this episode to the last episode that we just got is insane to me. The character development and growth, and now just knowing that Omega was still out in the galaxy fighting her own fight and fighting for the good guys was just really heartwarming. And it was obviously sad to see some of the Bad Batch go, but it was really cool to see some of them grow really old, pretty old, and get to live the rest of their lives. At least they're living in a community. And Hunter said we can choose to be whatever we want to be now. So I think it was a really good standpoint at the very end there. I think it was great. But overall, yeah, I think the episodes, the final few episodes were amazing. I thought the last season of the show was amazing, and I think the ending was just really, really good, and it definitely pulled on the heartstrings a lot, and I thought it was a great ending. Let's just put it like that. thank you guys for watching. I want to know what you guys thought about the Bad Batch and especially the ending. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hope you guys have a great day. May the Force be with you.